Hello, everyone. It's Michelle Mahar here again today, and I'm here with Catherine Meyer. She is giving me her time today, so thank you so much, Catherine, for coming here to talk to me about what we are doing to navigate through these challenging times that we're facing right now.
Yeah, thanks for
Eh,
having me, Michelle.
Oh, thank you. You're so welcome. So, if you want to just let us know a bit about who you are and what you are all about.
Okay. Well, for those of you who don't know me, Catherine Meyer, and I have a leadership practice. So I typically work with businesses, from small businesses and entrepreneurs up to larger uh, national or international organizations. But the focus of my business is leadership. So I work with leaders, I work with leadership teams. And in the last couple of years, actually, I've found that a large part of my business has been gravitating towards small businesses and providing support to them from a leadership perspective, and in terms of helping people grow their business and grow the capacity of their business. And I actually started a leadership program around that. So recognizing that small businesses and entrepreneurs have very specific needs around leadership that are somewhat different. In many ways from what larger organizations would need. So I designed something around that, and so that's been a big focus of my business right now.
Right. Okay. That's great. So that's why I wanted to talk to you because you have a lot of expertise with respect to leadership and what what we're going through right now, as we were talking before we got on camera here, is unprecedented, totally unprecedented times, uncharted territory,
Yeah.
so much uncertainty, and there was such a loss of control when this first happened, where everything just started getting shut down, starting from the well, for me, it was the live events that I had tables booked
Yep.
at. They started getting postponed initially, and then postponed again, and when sports got canceled, that was like huge in my opinion because that never happens. And
Yeah.
then now Las Vegas is closed, and all the
Yeah.
just basically the world shut down so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
So it was very hard to not get sucked into that fear
Yeah.
spiral to start with. And I found that that was, well, I just knew that wasn't where I wanted to stay. So what was your experience going through the whole beginning of this when it first started
Yeah, I mean,
to shut down?
I would say it's very similar to yours, and it's interesting because despite all of the training and experience as a coach, and all the times coaching other people on how to stay centered and how to focus on what's within their control and all of that kind of thing, when something hits you like this, that, as you said, is so unprecedented, and nothing we've ever dealt with before, and it just hits so many aspects of your life all at once, right? Personal and professional.
All at once, right?
All at once, financial, you name it, like everything got hit all at the same time. It's again, not just happening locally but all around the world. It's not something that anybody's prepared for. So, and certainly I wasn't. I'm included in that. I was not prepared for how that was going to affect me. So yeah, I had a lot of the same to really get caught up and worry about that all of a sudden. And while I wasn't panicking, well, in some ways I was panicking, but I found myself stocking up a little bit more on groceries than I normally do, even as I was trying to tell myself, this is going to blow over very soon, and no reason to stock up too much. And I didn't. I'm not one of those people that bought 500,
Enough toilet paper for 5 years? No.
toilet paper. but but I did find myself buying a couple of more, a couple more items than I probably would have normally stocked up on. So
Right.
And yeah, so there was just this general sense of anxiety, and at times, I'd try to go for a walk or I'd try to do things, but the anxiety doesn't quite go away. And I think part of that is that, we this hasn't gone away yet. All right, we're still in the thick of it, and so finding ways for us to cope with this longer term is probably a good idea for all of us, because I mean, it's not that we're going to be coping with this in this way forever, but we are going to be needing to at least find ways to look after ourselves through this, so that we're not in that constant state of anxiety or even panic about
Right.
this. Really easy to go there. As you and I were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
there's news every day, right? It's on. You turn your radio on, you put your news on, you open up Facebook or whatever, your social media platform, and it's there in front of you constantly, 24/7 if you want to. So it is a good idea as one strategy, for example, to consider not, you know, checking the news every hour.
No, I,
Or,
as you
okay.
know, as I think once a day, twice a day at most, just
Yeah,
kind of after the updates, after the the federal and provincial updates, maybe see what's happened, what's new, because if you're going to have it on 24 hours, it's going to go into your subconscious. All right, a little bit of a technical hiccup there, but we're continuing. So as I was saying, yes, just get yourself updated as to what you are required to do, what the government's saying, if there's any changes in the practices. But like you were saying before, everything is just, stay home as much as possible,
yeah,
limit your grocery shopping as much as possible, and whatever you need to get, the essential items that you need, practice the hand washing and all that. So
of course.
um, uh, initially, when this first started, and schools were March break, and then they were closed for another 2 weeks, so it kind of seemed like we might have 3 weeks kind of this. It didn't. Now we're into it's like a month, and now of course the schools have instituted the online learning
Yeah.
for the students. So and they've indicated that this is kind of going to continue for a bit, and we don't know for how long. So as you were saying before, it's best to just adjust to this new normal, if you want to call it that. And I
Yeah.
think the one thing now that we've kind of, like, I found myself going up and down, as we've gone through this, but now I think keeping a routine is very important
Yes. Yes.
to keep you going.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easy, especially right now, to forget, and I'm guilty of this too, forgetting what day it is, what time it is, because we don't have the typical structures that we've had before. Our lives aren't um, as connected to, it's easy for us, especially in isolation, to end up, losing track of that. So creating our own schedule, right? Our own sort of system or some structure in our lives can help with that, especially with your business.
Yes.
Yeah, especially with your business, to
Yeah,
say,
I think getting up at the same time during the day, and getting like dressed, and
yes,
doing your hair and makeup, or you know doesn't necessarily have to be everything, but at least get dressed, and it makes you feel better about yourself and more confident, and it kind of sets the tone for your day.
yeah, I think so too. And for a lot of us too, what happens is I think I heard you say the word waves, but it does come in waves in terms of how you're feeling. You might have days or times of the day when you feel like, yeah, everything's great. I can, I know what I want to do. I know what I need to do. I'm going to contact some clients or customers. I'm going to write this blog. I'm going to do whatever it is you do. And then there might be other times of the days when you feel like you just need to take a nap, as I think I said earlier. So it's, or you might find days that you wake up and you don't feel like you want to do anything and you just want to relax.
Right.
And
Right.
maybe baking or something, I don't know. And
Yeah. And you can give yourself the grace to do that.
absolutely. Because this is not like our normal lives. And so that constant feeling of, that underlying pressure that may be there, or that underlying sense of anxiety that we're, I think, collectively feeling because of the situation that we're in, and the concerns we might have for ourselves and our family and their health, then, we can give ourselves permission to sometimes not, be always on all the time, right? We've been given, and I don't want to, I hesitate to call it an opportunity, but in some ways it is an opportunity, to take a pause, right, and to reflect on our lives, on our businesses, and what we want to do for that business. And this might be a great time when you're in the right frame of mind to be thinking about where you want to take your business next, because oftentimes we don't have the time to really think about these things because we're so
Right.
busy doing the business and making things happen. And especially for entrepreneurs, we're always, we're kind of holding both of those things, holding space for both of those things, where we're constantly trying to look for how we're going to improve our business, but we've got stuff going on all the time. So now's the time that we really can reflect when we want to see where we really want to take our business and where we want to go with it.
Right. Yes. Yes. So important. And like you were saying, we didn't have the time necessarily before. We were
Yeah.
always chasing that to-do list.
Yes.
And so this is the time to look at those things you wanted to do. And you've always said, if I had time, I would do this. Well, now you have the time. And there's all kinds of resources too out there. So many people are offering free resources
Mm-hmm.
to help you learn different aspects of your related to your business.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you also were I think I had seen the blog that you had written for I think it was Canadian Small Business.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to just kind of talk about that, what you were talking about in there.
Okay, sure. Thank you. I mean, similar to what what we've again been speaking about. We're all at the center of our business. If you think about that, as small business owners or entrepreneurs, we are at the center of our business. And so, what I was saying in that article was that one of the most important, if not the most important thing for you to do right now, your number one priority, is to take care of yourself. And I don't mean to tell people that they should forget about their business at this point, but just as we've been saying, give yourself a bit of a break, right?
Yes.
Give yourself some time and space. You don't have to be on top of things every day, because we are dealing with something that we have never dealt with before. And so we have no roadmap. We have no way of knowing how to respond to this. And there are certainly people out there that will tell you how to respond to this, that tell you how you should be behaving right now and what you should be doing.
Yes.
And
Like,
and they may mean well, but everyone is different. And I think my advice, as a coach, would be to say, you have to just do you. You have to
right.
deal with, right, and everybody has their own way of coping with stress and with coping with anything. Although I'll say to you, I have my way of coping, but I, like everyone else, have never faced anything like this before. So
Yeah.
I'm finding myself coping in ways, or sometimes not coping as well as I would like to be, given that, this is an unusual situation. So I have to follow my own advice and give myself, permission to just do what I need to do for me first. If you need to take the walk, if you need to take the nap, if you need to just have a day where you're, just spending time connecting with friends on a Zoom call or on a phone call or whatever, because
Right.
you just feel that need to connect with people that you care about, then do that for yourself. Because if you are trying to force yourself to push through with your business, you're not going to have the best outcomes either, right? You're not in the best frame of mind for dealing with that.
No.
And your clients, your customers will see it as well, right? Because
They'll pick up on it. It's the
oh,
energy, and
absolutely.
even if it is on the phone, they'll still pick up on that.
Yes, absolutely. And that's not how you want to represent yourself or your business right now. Um,
No.
if anything, I would say, if you are in the place where you're feeling calmer and better, and you're taking good care of yourself, then I would just simply ask, what do they need right now? Maybe they just need you to call them to see how they're doing, right?
Right.
Or just check in with them, right? A lot of people don't need you to be trying to sell to them right now, unless you've got something they absolutely need, and then you can certainly reach out to them. But just checking in with them. But
Yes.
that would be a question I would ask. What do they need, and is there a way that you can help them right now?
Right.
And
Yes. And I've heard that advice from many people. Just this is a time for us to serve our clients. Now,
yes,
what about the businesses, small businesses that have employees?
yes.
Then, as a leader, you're leading those employees. And again, I guess you have to give them the grace
Yes.
as well.
Absolutely, you do. So just as you need to do that for yourself, you also need to allow them to do that for themselves. And I will say this, that one of the things I talk about in my leadership program for small businesses and entrepreneurs is that one of the things that is hardest for entrepreneurs when they're growing a team or having a small team is that letting go of control.
Right.
And so and again, I do have a client that's struggling very much with this right now, because they have a team of about 10-12 people who they typically work together in one office, and now they're working remotely. And that loss of control of seeing them in the office every day and working with them and seeing what they're doing and working with them on whatever project they're working on, that has gone away. So
Right.
it takes a completely different way of leading in some respects to be able to manage people remotely in this way. And I think that is particularly challenging for small business owners and entrepreneurs who manage teams.
Yeah,
So
I think so. I would agree. They
yeah.
uh they definitely the lot like to have control, and it's hard to let go of control. On the other hand, too, you also deal with corporations and large international corporations too, and some of those have all employees working from home, something that
Yes.
a month ago was not happening, and it wasn't anything that they planned to do. If some might have had work, some employees working from home occasionally, but now it's all of a sudden every single employee had to be
Yeah.
remote.
Yes. Hence the rise in popularity of Zoom. uh,
Hmm.
and other platforms like this. And it's interesting for those companies as well, because a lot of them have said, and certainly clients of mine have, when the idea of working remotely has been brought up in the past, have said, no, it's not possible to do this, or it's not possible to have everybody at home. And now we're seeing that, at least for now, it is possible. There are some
They've
challenges with
made it, but they've made it work to the
it,
extent
make it work.
to,
Absolutely. Make it work.
continue operations.
Yeah. And I think the key there is still communication, right? Is staying in contact, and it's people being clear on what it is they're supposed to do. I mean, I would say, ironically, a lot of the things that I do talk about in terms of leading teams and leading people, those things become even more pronounced when you're leading people remotely. So communicating, your needs, communicating and being clear on what the deliverables are, following up to give people feedback, all of those kinds of things become even more important at a
For
time when you're not,
sure.
physically together, right? So
Right, for
that
sure.
that goes for everybody, not just larger organizations, but small business owners as well.
No, I totally agree. I'm interested to see what's going to happen after this in terms of some of these large corporations that said before, we can't have you working, remotely, it doesn't work, and things like that. If you're going to see an increase in remote working remotely for some of these large corporations, and possibly, more Zoom meetings and online meetings rather than in-person meetings. And even possibly business travel.
Yes, I mean, it's definitely more cost effective. There would still be, I think, there is still an argument, or not, maybe the argument's not the right word, but a case to be made for in-person meetings.
Definitely.
And I can tell you, a lot of the workshops that I run, for example, leadership workshops with leadership teams, have typically been in-person sessions. So this is an example of one of those opportunities that, now that we're in isolation with this COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of people are having to think differently about their business, and that includes me. So I had to move things online, which is something I always thought I wanted to do, but wasn't sure it was something that would really still be effective for a leadership program. And yet I was able to do that with a leadership team just a couple of weeks ago, and it worked out very well. So, I mean, this can challenge, a lot of people's ideas around what's possible to do, and whether or not everything has to be done, face to face. So, I think you're right. You are going to see some shifts. I don't think we'll go 100% back to the way business was done before, but there will be, certainly more opportunities and openings to do these kinds of things.
Yeah, and in terms of looking at your business, this is the opportunity to be creative in your business and start contemplating how to pivot your business online. Like you were saying, where you didn't have the online programs, the online workshops, but maybe now that you have done that, going forward, you might have online workshops and in-person workshops.
Absolutely.
You might be having two lines of business, really. And I think that that's going to be happening for a lot of people with that are coaches and things like that, well, because this is your chance to become creative. Now then, we have the people with brick and mortar locations that had to shut their doors, and some of them that worked hands-on with people like hairdressers, hair salons, nail salons, massage therapists. People like that cannot perform the same services anymore, but I've seen different examples of different ways to be creative in terms of, because they have to still serve the clients. Clients need a lot. When they do reopen, there's going to be lines. For these people, for sure. I'll be the first one. But so this is really giving everybody the opportunity to be creative and think outside of the box.
Yes, I think so too. I mean, I a friend of mine who runs a boutique shop near where I live, again, has always said, she's wanted to create an online platform, right, for shopping, have a website where, and she just, again, too busy, never got around to it. But of course, now that her business is shut down, a week ago, I got the email from her saying, we're online. So, so while this has been, devastating in many ways, it can present interesting opportunities for people to do the kind of things with their business that they've never had the time or,
chosen to make the time for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's what I think we're going to see a lot of innovation coming out of this period of time.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you can just see it. I mean, you talk about the news. Yes, there's some devastating news, but and it's been tough. But there's also been some really. I've been so impressed with even how some companies have retrofitted their manufacturing facilities and done all
Oh, for
kinds
the
of
masks.
great for masks and equipment and all kinds of things. Like it's just unbelievable. University students 3D printing face masks and things like that, or it's just, or respirators. It's just unbelievable what people can do when they
Right.
put their mind to it and just think, what do people need right now, and how can we take what we know and do something different, right down to artists who are putting concerts on free concerts on online and
Right.
things
Yeah.
like that. So everybody's just doing what they can, and it's pretty, in many ways it's a pretty amazing time. We won't see anything. I don't, hopefully, we won't go through something like this again. But the fact that we are, despite the challenges of it, it's also an unprecedented time in our lives to just pause and really reflect and look at how the world is coming together in a lot of ways. And
Right. Everybody's coming together as a community. There's
yeah,
so much community helping, so many people wanting to serve and help others.
yeah,
Like you're saying, all the companies, whoever has manufacturing facilities, they've done whatever they can to try to, to use it for those purposes, to, whether it's hospital gowns, masks, and things like
yeah.
that.
Right down to people sewing stuff in their own homes and
Oh, all the masks. Yes.
donating and baking and bringing it to hospitals. I mean, people are just doing what they can, right? And however they
Yeah.
can. So
Right. I did see of the local pizza place. The owner was delivering pizzas to hospitals and pizzas to other people in need
yeah,
and things like that. And everybody is coming together.
yeah.
And even just people offering to buy groceries for seniors and drop them off at their doorstep. And even I saw people talking just this weekend about dropping off Easter eggs just randomly at people's doorstops, or
Yeah.
something like that. So definitely we see. Oh, and let's hope that this community spirit will carry through
Yes.
after we are done this. But it really is a time to pause and reflect and look inward, and not only on your business but also on yourself. Are you happy with the way you were living your life before this happened? Are
Yeah.
there things you want to change, new routines you want to develop?
Yeah.
Take baby steps
Yes.
to,
Absolutely.
to do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Catherine. That was great talking to you about all this. And um, it's we're going to come through this together as a community, with sharing love, and I have faith that we are going to be better humans after this.
I do too. I do too. I think we can't, it's like people will say, you can't unsee something, you can't unlearn. I mean, we have been through this experience, we're going through this experience. And I think it's going to change all of us for the better. And I might be an optimist for saying that, but I think that, collectively with all that we've experienced around seeing how people cooperate and put aside whatever differences and just support each other, from large businesses, small businesses, our political leaders, everybody are stepping up in many different ways to support each other, and also our families, our neighbors. So you're right.
Yeah.
It's all the way through, right. On a small level, but also right out on a macro level in terms of countries and
True.
world. So I think
Yes.
that this is there's going to be some good and coming out of this, and it's going to change us all for the better. So
Yes. I agree. I agree for sure. And you can see we're all working for the good. Everybody's working for the good of of humanity. And yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I will definitely put your information underneath this interview when I put it up in the group
All right.
as well. And thank you again for your time today.
Thank you, Michelle.
All right. Thanks. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.